Hi everybody, this is Miss Snook, your science teacher, and I am going to show you how to do the Relative Humidity Lab from Unit 1. In order to do this lab, you're going to need some water that I have here in a bottle. And if your kit came with 2 thermometers, you're going to need 2 thermometers. If not, hopefully you have 1 thermometer and you'll be using it 2 times. And the last thing you need is the cotton cloth that came in your kit as well. I'm going to move the camera back so that I can get in the video. And I don't have a cameraman, so it's just me. So hopefully you'll be able to see everything I'm doing. Oh, probably have to go up a little bit. Hello. Let me check. Alright, well hopefully that doesn't cut off the top of my head. Alright, so what we have here are 2 thermometers, and they have been in this room for the same amount of time. And when we read these thermometers, we're going to be looking at Celsius, because in science we use Celsius. Most of the world uses Celsius. The United States is one of 3 countries that still does not use the metric system as a standard form of measurement. But in science, we use Celsius to measure temperature. So right now in my room it says that it is about 22 degrees Celsius. And that equates to about, just so you know what that means, about 60... Nope, about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I would actually have to do the math to figure that out. The scale on the Fahrenheit side is not a very good scale. Anyway, I have this thermometer marked with a W for wet, and I have this thermometer marked with a D for dry. If you are using only 1 thermometer to do your lab, you need to do the dry experiment first, and then do the wet experiment. Alright, so what we're doing is we are attempting to determine how much humidity there is in the air that you're working in. So this is my office, and I already said it's 22 degrees Celsius in here, and I'm inside my house, and it is a cold January day here in Tucson, and there's not a cloud in the sky. And I haven't been running the dishwasher or doing hot dishes or taking a shower in the recent time. So the air in my house feels dry. But there is water vapor present in any amount of air that you're in. There's never no water vapor. So we're going to measure how much water vapor there is in here, and this is called humidity. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wet my cotton cloth, and this is going to go around the bulb of my thermometer that I have marked W for wet. And we want to get this cloth totally moist, so the whole thing is soaking wet. And we're going to secure that on the back of the thermometer. You're going to wrap it around the little bulb that's at the bottom of your thermometer. This is glass, so you want to be careful not to break this, okay? And you're going to secure this wet cloth underneath and around your thermometer as best as you can. And I believe in your lab it says to secure it with a rubber band, but if you can slide it underneath your bulb, you should be able to not have to put a rubber band around it. So I'll kind of get a close-up for you. Hopefully you can see this. I have my wet cloth touching the bulb here, and I'm just going to fold it over and wrap it around that bulb nice and tight. Alright, now what's going to happen right now is that the temperature on my thermometer should change, and what it says, and hopefully you don't want to be touching the bulb because the heat from your hand is going to increase the temperature. So once that wet thermometer is on there, wet cloth is on your thermometer, what you're going to do is you're going to fan these thermometers with a piece of paper until the wet thermometer stops moving. Now the dry thermometer is going to stay basically the same, but you still have to fan it. So I have the backs of the thermometers facing you, and I am going to fan it with a piece of paper. You don't want to blow on it because the warmth from the breath in your air is going, your breath's hot air is going to affect the temperature. Also, you have moisture in your breath, so that's going to affect the temperature. So you want to fan these until the wet thermometer is done moving. Now already, just by looking at these, already my temperature is dropped 2 degrees. So you have to do this for a while, and when you're done, your wet thermometer is going to read 1 set of degrees, and your dry thermometer is going to read another set of degrees. And what you're going to do is you're going to place those into your data table on your lab report, and you have to subtract the two. And you're going to record that in your data table as well. And you're going to do this 3 times. And then you're going to take an average of all 3 times and put that in the last column on your data table. And then in your lab report, there is a chart that you're going to use to figure out what the relative humidity is in the room that you're in. And you record that on your data chart. And then there's a few questions. There's 2 questions for you to answer on the lab report itself. So, right now, after some fanning, the temperature on my wet barometer is down to 19 degrees Celsius, and the temperature on my dry barometer is down to 20 degrees Celsius. But you have to keep doing this until the wet thermometer has totally stopped moving. So you got to check it every now and then, make sure it's not going down any further. And once it has stopped, then you can make your recording in your data table. Alright, so I think mine has stopped, and my final reading on my wet barometer for this trial is about 16 degrees Celsius. And the final reading on my dry thermometer is 20 degrees Celsius. So now I'm going to subtract the 2 and I get a difference of 4. And I'm going to record that on my data table. And then I'm going to take this apart again, allow it to come back to room temperature. Remember, room temperature when we started was 22 degrees Celsius, I think. And I'm going to let that rest, let it come back to room temperature. I'm going to re-wet my cotton cloth and do the whole experiment over again so I can get 3 trials. And then that's it. Hope that helped. See you next time.